Okay. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have such a deep interest in somatic memory and how somatic memory and understanding it, what it is, how it affects the body, and how we can learn how to release it, how we can create awareness about somatic memory, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, so we can create changes in our nervous system. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight on how the body stores unprocessed emotions, somatic memory, and how we can release it. So, understanding somatic memory and understanding this phenomenon of what somatic memory is, well, it can absolutely help you heal your issues. So, tonight we're really going to talk about somatic memory, what it is, understanding it. We're going to discuss attachment theory and its connection to the body, because with attachments, when we're young, when we're babies, when we're in our first years of development, our attachments to our caregivers are absolutely crucial to how things affect us today. So people that say struggle with anxiety, ADHD, weight, panic attacks, any eating disorders, skin issues, body aches, sore backs, bad knees, bad ankles. It's all connected. It's so incredibly fascinated how our experiences in life are connected to our nervous system. And what's so fascinating to me is, as an adult, just understanding, like, why do I have these issues? Why do some other people not have these issues? And then looking deeper into it, like, oh, what was their childhood like? What was my childhood like? And what were their experiences like? It all connects. So we're going to dive deep into what somatic memory is, what attachment theory is, and its connection to the mind and body. And we're going to talk a little bit about how hypnotherapy and Reiki can help you understand and release the root cause of any issues. I'm going to give you a few tools to help you reconnect and release. So, somatic memory, what is it? So, somatic memory is the body's ability to store emotional and sensory experiences from the past, i.e., feeling unsupported, being left alone to cry, being told your feelings aren't valid, abandonment, abuse. Somatic memory relies on the communication network of the body's nervous system. It's information that is transmitted between the brain and all points of the body. So, how does somatic memory show up? Well, in many different ways. It can be felt as a physical sensation like tightness, racing in the heart, chronic pain. And what do we do to ease these symptoms? Addictions. Smoking, shopping, addicted to our phone. It's like we don't want to feel these things that are affecting us, racing heart. So we create ways to create safety in the body. And we think about, like, what is trauma? Trauma isn't just a memory, it's a psychological imprint. Trauma is shaped on experiences. And we think about trauma, the first thing that comes to mind for most people is likely like physical abuse, sexual abuse, an event that happens, like a car crash. But what's not talked about, like, ever, is the emotional trauma that I believe generations have experienced. And that's as simple as your emotional needs not getting met as a child, you being dismissed, you're not feeling understood or heard, you're being left alone a lot, you get put in your room to cry, you have no one to help you through those experiences. All those things are stored as somatic memory. So somatic memory is the body's ability to store emotional and sensory experiences from the past. So how does somatic memory affect us? Say if you have anxiety, and I think so many people nowadays have anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety was till probably 5 years ago. And yet I experienced anxiety my whole life. I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what I was feeling. I was so out of body, and I would blame things on experiences and stories and like food. I never really connected my mind to my body. And so what is anxiety? Racing heart, shallow breathing, restlessness. And these things are triggered by the subconscious mind. And they're reminders of past trauma and unmet needs. So anxiety is really a sensation of having an unmet need. Anxiety is based off experiences you have when you're younger. Let's, for example, like weight gain. Somatic memory that's connected to weight gain. Okay, so you have chronic stress, increased cortisol, emotional eating tied to unresolved feelings of insecurity and neglect. Some people, when they're growing up, maybe they didn't feel like they were important. So they would eat, and eating would give them a physical sensation. It would make them feel good. It would make them feel loved because it's a chemical reaction. So then consciously, when you're an adult and you can't stop eating or you go towards certain foods, it's just your subconscious mind trying to make you feel good, because our mind and bodies they're here to protect us and create ways to feel better. And when we don't understand, like, what's the root cause? Some people, I've worked with clients who have really fond memories of maybe a past grandparent when they're eating. I used to bake with my grandma and she passed away. And that is a somatic memory. So it could be a certain dessert, a certain smell that comes up, and then you feel like eating. But we're not consciously aware of it. So that is the wild thing, is like we're not aware that these things are happening. And let's say like addictions, substances or behaviors used to numb the emotional pain because it hurts. It attempts to self-regulate the nervous system. Smoking's paced breathing. It regulates the nervous system. Breathe in, breathe out. You're pacing your breathing. Shopping gives you a feel-good high. Everyone has addictions. They just show up in different ways. Some are more harmful than others. If you experience some physical sensations, so let's say chronic back pain. If you have pain in your upper back, that's a somatic memory of not feeling important, not having your needs met, feeling unsupported in your life, feeling like no one's got your back, literally. And somatics, they show up in different areas for different people. We don't know, we're all kind of bio-individual, but there's some generalized places like digestive issues. Our body, our stomach's our second brain. And working with many therapists, they've talked a lot about when you have trauma, and it's all in the gut. Our serotonin comes from our gut. And I can't tell you how many years I spent blaming food for my digestive issues. I had IBS. I couldn't eat this. I couldn't eat that. And it's wild. My husband was the one who brought it to my attention one day. This was before I had any awareness. He was like, "Do you think that this is caused by stress?" And I'm like, "No, it's the apple skins." Do you know what I mean? I wasn't willing to look deeper. I had no idea of how the mind and body worked. I just thought you had to eat healthy to have a great body. But really, people with digestive issues and weight gain, there's so many more layers underneath. It's not about just eating good. Because if everyone just ate good, everyone would have regulated nervous systems. Everyone would be able to self-care. People would want to take care of themselves. People that grow up in homes with secure attachments, loving parents, they have the serve and return parents that are there to help emotionally support their kid through anything, not leaving them in a room to cry by themselves to process their own emotions. Those are the experiences, and then we create interpretations of not being loved, not being worthy, not being important. And so we create systems to make us feel better because we feel alone. So the biggest thing is, for me, has always been like, oh my gosh, I blame food for everything, for all my digestive issues. I was a food binger for like 20 years of my life. Food was an emotional connection with my mom. We loved to eat food together. It felt good. You know, when my mom was happy, I was happy. When my mom was sad, I was sad. It's really hard if you have a depressed caregiver who's not regulated when you're a child. You need regulation. We'll dive more into that. So the science behind somatic memory, like, it's a trauma response. Fight or flight activates stress hormones. Unresolved trauma keeps the body in survival mode. It's always going to do what it thinks it needs to do to help you. Like skin issues, back issues, digestion issues. It's actually your body just in survival mode. It's this brain-body connection that gets disrupted. Trauma disrupts your brain and body disconnection. And again, like we talked about at the beginning, like, what is trauma? Trauma can be so simple, from having a caregiver that wasn't there to meet your emotional needs, to if you didn't feel supported. Like, it's so simple. And that's why we're going to go into talking about attachment theories, because this is where our life starts, is really pre-utero, in the uterus. Our attachments start. We feel our mother's nervous system. We feel their love. We feel everything. So again, symptoms of somatic memory: physical, chronic pain, headaches, back pain, stomach issue; emotional issues: anxiety, depression, anger, emotional numbness; behavioral: overreacting to triggers, difficulty trusting others, and addictions; relational: struggles with attachments or feeling unsafe in relationships. So symptoms of somatic memory are like full around it: physical, emotional, behavior, relational. That's every aspect of our lives. So really understanding what somatic memory is the key to really start looking deeper, to start creating more awareness in self, so you can start to move that energy. It gets stuck and it gets stored. It's unprocessed. So we're going to talk about attachments. So what are attachments? When we are born, it is critical and crucial for us to form attachments to a caregiver. When we are born with 75% of our brain developed. We are the only species that are born with underdeveloped brains, because our brains aren't fully developed till we're 4 years old. We wouldn't be able to come out of our moms if our brains were fully developed. So it is so critical and crucial, thinking back to your childhood. If you had parents that were like fighting all the time, you had divorce, you had a toxic house, you had a mom that was depressed, it's all formed in childhood. So when emotional needs aren't consistently met, there's different types of attachment styles. Anxious, which is fear of abandonment. You're craving closeness. Maybe you didn't have that closeness with a caregiver growing up. An avoidant attachment is someone who suppresses emotions, fear of dependency, scared that if they are going to put themselves out there, they're going to get rejected. Maybe they were rejected as a child. Maybe their needs weren't met. Disorganized is really the hard one. It's, your caregivers, they're always like, we're not ever here to put blame on our parents. We're not here to put blame on the life that they gave you, because in all honesty, their experiences shaped them. It's like such a domino effect. It's creating this like understanding of like, that sucked, but now that I understand it. But disorganized attachments, it's really confusing in the nervous system. You might have highs and lows, right? There's always a constant threat of, is someone going to reject me? Do they love me? Your body internalizes these patterns as survival strategies. So somatic effects of insecure attachments, one is a chronic stress response, hypervigilance. You're always on edge. Are you scanning for threats, tight shoulders, clenched jaw, shallow breathing? Digestive issues, nervous stomach, IBS, appetite irregularities, emotional distress, effects on the gut-brain connection, anxiety and panic attacks. Triggers remind the body of past feelings of abandonment or rejection, racing heart, dizziness, chest tightness during relational conflicts. And I can speak about myself. I've been very open about having panic attacks. And I come from a generation of let your baby self-soothe. Your baby needs to self-soothe. There's different theorists that absolutely believe you shape your child by teaching them at a young age to self-soothe. And that was the information that was out there. But now we know better. Like, we absolutely know better that's not the right way. Our babies need us. They need our nervous system. They need us to calm them. And so I was left alone to cry as a baby, and I absolutely don't blame my parents at all. And when I was a teenager, if I got in trouble, I would be put in my room and I couldn't come out, and I would cry, and then I would cry louder, and then I would cry louder and louder, and then I'd hyperventilate. And then my mom would come in when I hyperventilated. And I always remember, like, I never ever remembered why I got in trouble. I just remember those feelings of, like, feeling not loved. I knew I was loved. But in those moments, you feel abandoned. And those are our interpretations of our experiences. We interpret things when we're young because we don't know how to interpret them differently. If we don't have someone to help us through our experiences and create that safety and love, we interpret those things and we store those interpretations somatically. Chronic pain, back pain, neck tension, migraines. Our body armors up to protect us against perceived emotional harm. I was going to a chiropractor at 12 years old with a bad back, a super bad lower back. I created so many interpretations that I wasn't even aware of. I had no idea until I was 38 years old. Addictive behaviors, seeking external regulation through food, substance, or working a lot. And I've experienced all of these issues from things that happened to me as a child. And again, I always want to say, like, it's never about blaming, because everybody's built on experiences, and that's a domino effect. And when you can have that, like, awareness, you can have more compassion for self, more compassion for your parents, more compassion for everyone. It sucks. It does suck, but understanding the nervous system and how it's affected from our attachment styles can absolutely change our life. So how do we heal insecure attachments somatically? How do we understand, how do we find the root cause? I think it's really by starting to to recognize and create body awareness, to understand feelings and sensations that are happening in the body by paying attention to them. So often we lose presence because our thoughts, we might not even be completely conscious of it, but our thoughts are thinking about a million different things, and we're not in the present moment. We're thinking because our bodies, we're in survival mode. We're built to survive, to be safe, to make sure we're not going to die. And in every hypnotherapy session we always come up with the role, function, purpose, and intention of the issue. And it's always to protect. We have issues to protect us, even though they're not working for us today. But we create systems to protect ourselves. And this is what I find so fascinating in the mind-body connection is we get so disconnected, our mind and body. Parts of our like body, parts of our somatic experiences are still stuck in the past, and they have no idea that you're here present today. So it's really powerful in hypnotherapy, or even just self-awareness, like, oh, these things happened in my life. These experiences happen. Maybe is that why this is showing up today? Maybe I have gut health issues for XYZ. And that's what we do in RTT hypnotherapy. It's rapid transformational therapy. And I want to talk a little bit about, what I do and in my practice, and how understanding the root cause of any issue can help release those somatic memories, to create a safer space to reconnect body and mind. I never realized for how many years how disconnected my body was from my mind. So in RTT hypnotherapy, I do regression hypnotherapy, and we regress. If you have anxiety, we go back to a time, place, and event where you felt those same feelings of when you get anxiety, and a memory comes up. It could be anything, and we discuss and we uncover those childhood memories tied to those attachment wounds, so you can reprocess and release these emotions in a safe space, so you can understand them and be like, oh, that's why I felt that way, and that's why this is affecting me today. Oh, because I was trying to create safety. And it's like, how do we release that? Because we create ways to reinterpret those events to really connect with the subconscious mind. Because all of these things I'm talking about, they're not conscious. And when we have like skin issues, gut issues, back pain, we're just looking for cures at a surface level. We're looking for a skin cream, we're looking for a diet plan, we're looking for a chiropractor, someone to help. But it's all rooted in your experiences from the past. Traumatic or not traumatic, are those experiences, when you have issues showing up, it's so much deeper. Like we're all born absolutely perfect. I had a client a few weeks ago with, really big abandonment issues. Super big abandonment issues, big fear of abandonment, and it affects his relationships today. That fear, his emotional ability to connect. And so in regression, we regress to him being a baby in the hospital, not being able to drink his mom's milk, not taking his mom's milk. And I say, well, you're born perfect, so we have to go back to pre-utero. And we went back in regression to pre-utero in his mom's belly, and we talked about what he was feeling, and he remembered Our subconscious mind remembers everything. We regress to pre-utero, and he was able to understand why he couldn't even take his mom's milk. There was such disconnection even when he was in his mom's stomach that he wasn't able to drink her milk when he was born. And then because he couldn't drink his mom's milk, he was in the hospital for weeks. And those are like the most critical moments to be with your mom. But he's like in ICU in the hospital because he's not drinking his mom's milk. He's missing those connections. It is very challenging for babies that have to be taken from their moms when they're first born. And just think about the power of our subconscious mind being able to recall that in a session. Your memory absolutely knows. And I know that from experience because I've had those same experiences when I've been under hypnosis. And not everybody goes that to that young. You never know what memories are going to come up, but I'm just expressing the power of how much our body truly remembers. Our body remembers everything, and we can recall as early as pre-utero. So hypnotherapy is such an incredible tool to really understand what our experiences were and how we interpreted them, and how those interpretations have affected us today. So I want to talk about some body awareness practices, how we can notice and soothe somatic responses to triggers, to practice self-compassion for physical reactions. It's so simple sometimes to just notice, what's going on and to take that space. And what's so helpful for me is in times I feel things changing, I feel things rising, I feel my thoughts. I'm thinking about the past, or I'm thinking about what's going to happen in the future and things I need to control. I really try to bring myself back to presence, and it's like as simple as a hand on a heart and a hand on a gut, and just breathing and telling yourself that you are safe and coming back to presence, because nothing can hurt you in the present moment. Thoughts about the past, they bring up these somatic memory issues. And thoughts about the future, thoughts of things that we can't control, send us spiraling. But when you're in present, when you're truly just here in the moment right now, nothing else should matter. There's no threats. There's no stories of who hurt you, how they hurt you, how you hate your body. There's just the now. And it's just learning to just love yourself in the now. And that's taken me a long time to really let that sink in. Like, it's taken me a while for that to really connect, to bring back to present, to stop caring about the stories or worrying about, what other people think. But when you can start noticing sensations in your body, you can send love. And with intention, you can heal anything. You can talk to your body, literally. You can tell your body that it's safe. You can tell your body that it can digest your food, that you have enough energy. You can tell your body that your metabolism is working in perfect order. With intentions, you can heal anything. You have to think the thoughts, because the thoughts that you're thinking now might not be serving. And we get stuck in the my bad back, my anxiety, my fat body. We get stuck, and then we own the issue. It's about creating that awareness and and disconnecting. You don't want to own it. I don't want to own the back pain. I don't want to own my mood disorder. I don't want to own the OCD. I want to say because you give it power. So understanding to stop giving power away and to start changing your thoughts, even if you don't believe it. Creating that body awareness can create massive changes. Even as much as like, oh, my hair, it's long and beautiful and growing. You know, I always used to be like, my skin is terrible, my hair is awful, I hate my body, I'm always going to have fat legs, I can't stop binge eating, I have severe anxiety, I'm always going to have panic attacks, nobody loves me, everybody hates me. Those are the thoughts that I used to think constantly. And I was not a happy person. I was always looking for the negative. I was looking for the threat. I was looking for the evidence to make what I was thinking true. When you stop looking for evidence, you'll stop finding it. When you start just like trusting in self, trusting in love, trusting in intention, everything changes. And I've started implementing Reiki and energy healing into my hypnotherapy practice to start moving the energy, to start moving it out. Because we are energy, our bodies from head to toe, we're just energy. I say we're energy and we're just energy in these skin suits. And so I find it really powerful with intention to move that energy while in regression, to move that somatic energy out of the body. And it is so incredibly healing. It is so amazing. But listen, you can do that for yourself as well. You can close your eyes, and like I said before, with intention, you can literally do anything. With practice and intention, you can do anything. My husband told me that for years, before he knew anything about Reiki or energy healing, as a kid, his intuition, if he had a hurt elbow, if he had a hurt wrist, or he just got hurt, he would close his eyes and he would visualize light coming in through his head. He would visualize light coming through his head to that space to send light and healing. And that's exactly what Reiki is. That's exactly what energy healing is. It's pulling light into your body with intention, with focus. You can clear blocked energy from unresolved trauma and attachment wounds yourself with intention. You focus on it. You focus on bringing the light in. And the thing with us as human creatures is we want results right away. And sometimes things take work. And sometimes they take time. So when things don't show up immediately, and we don't lose weight in 2 seconds, and we don't heal our back, and we still have that skin issue, we're always looking for different solutions. The solutions is always within self. So some key takeaways here today is like insecure attachments. They aren't just emotional. They're stored in your body. Physical symptoms often signal unresolved trauma. Healing requires addressing both mind and body through some somatic practices, through awareness. You can create a secure foundation by reprocessing old patterns and building new healthy neural connections. By understanding the root, by understanding where it came from, it gives you the ability to start moving it, to start moving that and choosing something different. I'm so happy that you guys joined me here today. I love talking about all things energy, all things somatic, all things hypnotherapy. So just another recap: somatic memory is your body storing unprocessed emotions like anxiety, back pain, weight gain. Attachment theories: insecure childhood attachments, chronic stress, emotional dysregulation, somatic symptoms. Healing approaches: with intention to yourself, if you want a guided professional, hypnotherapy, Reiki. Creating body awareness releases stored trauma. I absolutely love facilitating hypnotherapy sessions. It's probably one of my favorite things to do in the world. It's always such an honor to help guide my clients into their own healing. I'm just a guide. I'm a guide to help you uncover the root of what's affecting you today, to be that safe space, to hold that space with love, and to help you reinterpret the events, to start those new neural connections, to help you release what no longer serves you. I make all of my clients hypnotherapy, hypnosis recordings to listen to, and that really solidifies what we do in sessions. It creates that new neural pathway to empower yourself in your healing journey, because you can heal any issue, any single issue. People have healed themselves from so many things when they understand it and they change the script. They change the way they think, they change the way they talk about themselves, they change the way they process things. You get out of victim mode. You get out of living in the stories of the hurt, because you're always going to find hurt if you're looking for it. And you're always going to find love if you're looking for that too. So what do you want to choose? Both faith and fear command you to believe in something you can't see. So what would you choose? I chose fear probably my whole life. And when that fear shows up, I intentionally think about that leap of faith, because it's the same. Fear and faith command you to believe in something you cannot see. I have some free hypnosis recordings on YouTube. I'll post in the group. I can't wait to hear about how you enjoyed this talk. I don't even know if it actually worked. I super hope it did. But just the takeaway is that the experiences, interpretations, they can live in the body, and they get stored somatically, and they show up as physical, emotional symptoms. By addressing the mind-body connection, it is the key to transformation. Through RTT, through Reiki, through somatic practices, we can release trauma, relieve anxiety, and restore balance. So I hope you explore my free hypnosis audios to release some tension, to connect with your body. I have audios on weight loss, anxiety, and confidence. I would love to book a free consultation with anyone to dive deeper, to start your transformation. And follow me for more insights on somatic trauma and healing tools. And I'm super grateful for who showed up today. And just thank you so much.